He's on his way.
Please, can you make this?
Yeah. When he walks in, be like, why don't you come in?
Jordan watching for Jordan.
Yeah.
So everybody else has one of these?
There.
Look how cute she is.
Yes, you have to complete it. How's that?
Also, we're being recorded. And then Chris Robinson and whoever, they're like, I'm like, I'm busy doing stuff. Don't want to talk to you.
Okay, we're gonna do a quick attendance, just and then we'll hand this off to faculty so they know who didn't come. Zaira? I was right the first one? Go me. Kira Bailey is on TV. Jonathan Bryant. Garrett Compton. Willa Davis. Badole Fleming. Badal. Alicia. Ashton. Iker. Holly Hamilton. Hayden. Hannah Johnson. Benjamin McLaughlin. Regina Puckett. Alfonso Robinson. Tyler Robinson. Ethan. Stadnick. Allie Stone. Yolanda. Madison Anderson. Darren. Clara. Gregory Cooley. Darren is here. Somebody already not paying attention?
Yeah.
Keenan. Here. Jordan. Preston.
Here.
Kylie Hudson. Hi. Ariana. Braden Jones. Elijah Mayberry. Here. Logan Scott. Jolene Smith. Jordan Washington. Kaylee Wolford.
Here.
Anybody's name I didn't call? Okay. And does everybody have a sheet? Like a little quiz sheet? So we're going to go over some stuff. We're teaching you how to look at your student account, your financial aid. That little quiz sheet, fill it out as we go. If you have any questions along the way, let us know. And then we're going to take that up at the end.
All right. Does everybody have a laptop, tablet, phone, something you'll need that in a little bit? While you get that out, I will get started here. My name is Daniel Donner. I am Director of Financial Aid. This is Brandy Gallahue. She's the Associate Vice President of Business, Finance, and Controller. So I put all the money on. She takes all the money and tells you what your balance is afterwards. We work very closely together, but we are separate departments. If you accidentally email the wrong person, go to the wrong office, we will try and help you. The worst case that we'll do is say turn around 180 degrees and walk to the other office.
Does everybody know where our offices are? Business office and or financial aid? Yes. So lowest level of this building, you will find both of us. What's his name? What's your name? Doble.
West Jordan, Washington.
And we're just going to stare at you as you try and find a spot to sit.
Gonna make it real awkward.
Okay.
Here you go.
So, like Brandy said, we'll just go over what financial aid is, what the business office does, and hopefully we'll answer a lot of your questions. All right, so next slide, very important information. What does the first one say? All right, that's up there first because that is probably one of the most important things that we will tell you over and over and over again.
Everybody do that often?
Always. All right, who
I
does
see
not know?
giggling, that means no.
All right, who does not know how to check their email? All right, so make sure you're checking that frequently. That is the only place that we will communicate with you with the business office financial aid. I know sports and other places, they've got other lines of communication. We will just use email because we know that goes to you, not to anybody else. It is secure. We're not going to violate any FERPA laws. So make sure you are checking your UPIKE email. Next one, drink plenty of water. Well, that just goes without saying that you need water to survive, and water fixes everything. Right, Brandy?
Yes. So even though some of these things may not impact you as a student, I think it will enrich you as a human. And drinking water is always very important.
What's the next one after drinking water? Check your email. All right. You're going to notice a theme about this presentation. All right. After checking email, we have campus groups. Everybody knows what campus groups are at this point. All right. What is it? Boy, we have a quiet class, even though it's so noisy earlier. All right. You're just smiling and giggling back there. I'm going to pick on you. What's campus groups?
It's an app where you can like check for events that's happening on campus.
Exactly. Please do that. You're paying for it, so make sure you take the most advantage of that. All right, so after campus groups, what do we got? Thank you. All right. Next, this one doesn't involve business office, doesn't involve me. It is all about you. Check in with your people. That's your roommate, that is your friends, that's your teacher, that is your advisor, whoever. You're here for 4 years. That is going to be a long time if you're having trouble. So please, please make sure that you're talking to somebody. If you know one of your classmates, your friends, they're having trouble, reach out to them. You will not succeed. You will not graduate in 4 years if everything's not right up here. So college is stressful. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening at home. So you want to make sure that you have all the facilities and resources that you need. So please just check in with your people, make sure that they're doing good, that you have somebody that you can talk to. Again, this has absolutely nothing to do with me or Brandon, but we want you to succeed. And this is one of the major ways that you're going to do it. So this might be the most important thing on here other than checking your email. So, but please just make sure you're checking in with them, make sure everything is going good. Because again, our goal is for you to start and to finish 4 years later with a degree. Last one, Canvas. I'm hoping everybody at this point knows what Canvas is and logged in. All right, awesome. So what is financial aid? Anybody want to say in a 2 sentence or less? All right, I like that.
Money, good for what?
Exactly. Financial aid is any financial aid or any money that you get for your school. It can be academic scholarships. That's your GPA scholarship that we give everybody. That can be dual credit if you are here taking classes in high school. That can be the governor's scholarship. That is a bunch of other things that we have for you. Grants. That's your Pell Grant. That's what everybody wants. That's the good stuff you don't pay back. State aid, same thing. That is all financial aid. What else is financial aid? We got any athletes in here? That's your athletic scholarship. We got anybody doing band, choir? That would be that type of scholarship. Guess what else is financial aid? What's number 3? Loans. Anybody not realize loans are financial aid? I bring that up because I've been doing this for a very long time. I will get people at the end of the year, after they graduate, they will get a notice saying you owe X amount on your loans. They'll come in and say, what? Why do I have to pay this? I got financial aid. Yeah, you did. But it was in the form of a loan. So just keep that in mind that if you have loans, that is financial aid. I get yelled at by parents frequently about that. We just have financial aid. And then any other type of aid that you get. All of that is considered financial aid that we have to account for. Any questions? FAFSA, how do we get financial aid? Off the FAFSA. Hopefully everybody has already done the one so far this year. I don't think we had too many holdouts. The FAFSA determines your eligibility, plain and simple. Without the FAFSA, we don't know what to give you. Everybody must do one unless for some reason you don't need to. If you have a college savings plan, if you've got a really, really, really rich uncle that wants to pay everything for you, VA students, sometimes the VA students don't need to pay and don't need to do the FAFSA as well. I recommend it, but you're not needed to. But if you're not going to file FAFSA, please respond to my email that says, here's a FAFSA reminder. Who got one of those this summer from FinAid? It said, you still need to do a FAFSA. Oh, I got some dippers in here because I sent out tons of those emails. If you're not filling out a FAFSA, please just respond to the email and say that you're not doing it. I can send you a waiver form. That way I'm not just sending you an email week after week saying you still need to do the FAFSA. Reason being, what's the next one? October 1st. That's when you get to do the new FAFSA. So I won't do it starting October 1st, but probably around November 1st, November 15th, somewhere, I will start harassing you to do a FAFSA, and you will get that email very frequently. The government will send you emails. You will see social media posts about it. You will see things on campus. But again, if you don't need the FAFSA, that's great. You don't need to. Just let me know and I'll give you a waiver. But for those that do need want financial aid, that they want the Pell Grant, they want state aid, all of that, yeah, you might want to do this. That deadline or that opening date of October 1st, please get it done as soon as you can. We may run out of money, may not. We haven't done it in the last couple of years, but the state has a certain amount of money that they award, and once it's gone, it's gone. If you filled out your FAFSA October 1st, chances of getting the state aid, very, very good. If you wait until August 15th or the week before you're supposed to move in next year, you may not get it. It hasn't happened in the 2 years that I've been here, and actually probably hadn't happened the year before, but at one point, FAFSA opened October, I heard that by January, the state was out of money. So you want to make sure you get that FAFSA done as soon as possible to make sure you can qualify for the most amount of financial aid. Anybody in here, if they want to answer, anybody getting CAP KTG? That's state aid. Kentucky, or sorry, yeah, CAP, college access plan or something like that. Well, it went from about 5,000 last year to over 8,000 this year. There was a serious jump in awards. Who does not want $8,000 of free money? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Answer.
So please get that FAFSA done as soon as possible. Make sure you don't lose out on that funding. EFC, that's the fund expected family contribution. That is what determines the type of financial aid and how much you get. And the last one, verification. That is just as important as filling out the FAFSA, because until verification is complete, your FAFSA is not complete. So that goes back to the state grants. If you are selected for verification, do what you're supposed to immediately. Don't hold off, don't procrastinate. Because again, if you complete your verification mid-November, great, state aid. If you wait until August 15th, right before you're supposed to move in to do it, because you also can't register for classes, state aid may be gone. So please, if you get selected for verification, do whatever is being asked of you. It's a company called Kia that would reach out to you. Last 2 years have been kind of funky. Verification has been set up, it's been going. Midway through the year, the Department of Education says, nope, stop, no more verifications, you don't have to do it. So great to the people that did do it, even better for the ones that hadn't done it, because then you don't have to. But we can't guarantee that's going to happen for a third year. So if you are selected, I'm going to say this again, please log in, do what you need to right away so you don't lose out on that chance of state aid. Questions? All right.
I have a question. So when it comes to all things FAFSA, if I have any question, should I go to just to contact your office and?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And the other thing is for my students, if you would, on your electronic device, would you put October 1st, put a reminder in your phone about filling out your FAFSA? Because I'll come and talk to you on October 2nd, see if you've done that yet. So will you put that in your phone? Okay. Appreciate you, go there.
All right, so here is the fun interactive portion of this. Everybody, I need you to log into your UPIKE self-service. So that is upike.edu/self-service. Now, I'm hoping everybody's been there at least once already this year. If not, this will be brand new, but it should be very familiar. When you log in, you should get a screen like this if you're on a laptop. If you're on a phone, it'll be just one vertical line starting with student finance and financial aid. Give you a couple seconds to get logged in.
So this is also a place you'll go for other things. If you're a work study student, you'll have the employee tab where you put your hours in. If you want to request a transcript for grad school, if you're going to register for classes, you'll go to student planning eventually. So this is the site that is all things for you as a student outside of a classroom. So Canvas is academic stuff, and this is student support stuff.
Anybody having trouble logging in? Awesome. Okay. So when you get here, we're going to start on the financial aid tab. Later, you'll actually go to the student finance, but financial aid right now, you should get a screen similar to this. This is how I communicate with you in general. At the top part, I just have a nice alert section. So if I need to tell everybody the same thing, that's where you'll find it. We were having problems with Parent Plus loans, so that's why there's a big red line there to let students see that. Contact us if you're having trouble. And one of the things on there, it says offer letters may need to be signed multiple times. We will award you a base package. So come March, April, May, whenever that is, hey, this is what you qualify for. And you may do everything that you're supposed to. Then 2 months later, you get another scholarship. Or your coach finally does what they're supposed to and gives you your athletic scholarship. I'm not saying that they're slow, but you know, you never know. Then you may get something else later on. So every time we put a new award on there, we do try and remember to notify you, but that's where you can also then go in and view and sign your new offer letters. All right, so grab your piece of paper. You have a line on there that says financial aid checklist and SAP status. So for SAP status, who here has been to UPIKE before? Okay, has anybody done dual credit through their high school? Okay, for those that have done dual credit.
Like 2 classes through UPIKE? Okay, so you might have, you see yours.
So if you've done dual credit through UPIKE, you may have a green line here. Hopefully it's a green line that says satisfactory academic progress. If you have never done anything with UPIKE before this semester, that's going to be blank. So on your little sheet, put NA if you don't have anything. If you do have something, write what it says. Green, your satisfactory status, all of that fun stuff.
And again, you may not have anything. So if you don't have a little line that says your most recent satisfactory academic progress, then you just put NA.
All right.
So what should I write?
Just say green.
Green?
Yeah. What you're going to see as you go forward through your career here is that SAP status. If it's green, that means you're doing everything that you're supposed to. If it's yellow, that may mean you're on a SAP warning, which means you had a bad semester. If it's red, red is bad. That means you've had a couple of bad semesters. You don't want red, because if you have red, that means you're SAP suspended and you get no financial aid. We'll talk a little bit more about SAP in a second. So if you scroll down a little bit, you will see you have a financial aid checklist, the student finance account summary, and then the actual checklist. Your goal on the checklist is to be all green. You don't want anything done there. You want it to say complete. So that's going to be the next thing on your little quiz is, what does your checklist say? Is it all green? Write all green or complete. If you have anything that's in yellow, those are steps that you have to do in order to complete your financial aid. If your financial aid is not complete, then on that top right section that you're seeing up there, you may have a balance. That's only $339, not bad. you don't want like a $15,575 balance. That means you have absolutely no financial aid and you're agreeing to pay cash, right? No? Okay. But your balance is almost directly reflected by the checklist. Checklist isn't complete, you probably have a balance. So after class, if you have anything in yellow, you probably should go take care of that. Make sure your financial aid is done. Once that's complete, we post aid. Then on Brandy's side, hopefully your balance goes down to 0. One other thing about this checklist is everybody will have one that says review and accept your financial aid award package. Depending on what you do on that though, you may have extra steps underneath that, or you may have nothing. This person doesn't have any loans, so there's a couple of items missing. If you have loans that are in an offered status or you accepted loans, it may say that you need to do a master promissory note and entrance counseling. And if you haven't done those, you'll be able to actually click those directly to go to the website to complete those. Because we can't pay aid on that. Does everybody in here doing education? Okay. Education majors are eligible for another award called a Teach Grant. That is some nice free money, and as long as you do everything that you're supposed to, it stays free money. But with that, you have to do extra steps every year. It won't be up in here under the steps. It will be up here where it says complete required documents. So you may have required documents which say you have to do a teach entrance and a teach agreement to serve. So really, if you see yellow, click on it, see what you need, complete it. And if you need to contact us, at the bottom, we have a phone number, 5254. That will ring to every single line in the financial aid office. Somebody should pick it up. If you click the contact financial aid office, that email goes to everybody in my office as well. You are more than welcome to call or email me directly. I have absolutely no problem with that. But if you want a quicker response, probably call the general line because I may be in meetings like this. I may be taking a vacation rarely. Or any other number of things. So if you want to talk to me, that's great. I will be happy to help you. But contacting the office main lines, you'll probably get a quicker response. All right. Now we're going to go back and talk about SAP because SAP is one of the biggest misunderstood things I think students have regarding their financial aid. So everybody knows what GPA is, right? Yep. Okay. Guess what? That's not the only thing I grade you on. Registrar's office and academics, that's the only thing they care about is GPA. But for federal financial aid, I have to grade you on 3 different things. And I realized on my last meeting, we didn't talk about the 3rd one. So first one, GPA. What's the minimum GPA that you have to have? All right, I heard 2.0. That is kind of sort of correct. If you're a sophomore or higher, you have to have the 2.0. If you've completed 30 or less than 30 credits and you're still a freshman, you only have to have a 1.5 GPA to be good on my side. But just remember that 1.5 only counts towards federal financial aid status. If you have Keys money, which is from the state, you have to have a 3.0. So 1.5, you could lose money. If you're doing OMSP, OSP, those have a 3.0, I believe, GPA as well. Teach Grant, you have to have a 3.25. So just because you're good on the federal side, there's other aid that you may lose out on. So just keep that in mind. But for me, I just look at the 1.5 right now. Now, the other thing that nobody probably has heard of is called completion ratio. Anybody hear about that, understand that? All right, that's what I thought. This is where students get into a lot of trouble. Completion ratio, I have to grade you on how many classes you've attempted, how many you have passed. So if you sign up for 15 credits and in the very first week where you can withdraw with no penalty, that's fine, that class doesn't count against you. You may go 15 to 12, perfect. But if you go halfway through the term, if you go, heck, even starting that 2nd week and you drop and you get any type of letter grade, that counts as an attempt. And you have to pass so many classes in order to stay eligible. You have to pass 2/3 of the classes. So if you're taking 15 credits and you only pass 3, 3 classes, so 9 credits, you've only passed 60%. You are not making SAP. The first time that you don't make SAP, you are on warning. If you do that 2 semesters in a row, you get suspended. Suspended does not mean you are kicked out of school. Keep that in mind. It just means you have no financial aid to pay for it. So one usually reflects on the other, so keep that in mind. We have a very loose withdrawal policy. You can withdraw from a class all the way up until the last day before finals, believe it or not. So you can go the entire semester and you're not getting the grade you want and you want to save your GPA and you withdraw from a class, you can do that, no problem. Your GPA will stay way up here, but if you do that too many times, your completion ratio will be down here and you're going to be in just as much trouble as if you had a bad GPA. So be careful of withdrawing or failing from classes. One second. I said all classes count as an attempt. Completed classes, guess what grade you have to be considered complete? Exactly, D or above. So
We don't want those though.
no. I mean, you can squeeze by with that 60% or whatever the D is, and you would still have completed the class. But if you get an F, or if you withdraw, or you do an FN, or even if you have to get an incomplete grade, all of those count as a non-complete and affect your SAP. So again, be very careful on that because it will come back to bite.
So in addition to that, from an athletic standpoint, because a lot of you raised your hands when you said you're athletes, you have to create or complete successfully a certain number of credit hours within an academic year. So if you have like a really, really rough fall and like a decent but okay spring, you might end up having to take summer classes to be eligible. So every time you withdraw, fail, incomplete a class, keep in mind it's this, plus it's sports, plus it's going to be just how long it takes you to graduate. So if you're thinking of those things, just make sure you're talking to your advisor and financial aid.
So on this example, on the GPA for the term, she got a 4.0. Great, yay. Overall, 3.8. Still great, doing awesome, no problem. Completion ratio, again, for the term, 18 out of 18. Overall, 79 out of 82. So at some point, the student withdrew from one class. Doing it later in the career towards graduation doesn't affect you that much. I mean, it may drop it by a point or so. But if you do it right off the bat, again, a lot of you may be in 15 credits, and if you withdraw from 2, you're down to 60%. And it's very hard to come back from that. Every class that counts as an incomplete, you need 2 classes to pass. So 1 F means at least 2 Ds later to get that completion ratio back. So it's very hard to save yourself if you get behind real early. I've had students that had a really bad semester. They actually withdrew from everything. So they were 0 for 15. Even if they passed everything the next semester, the best they could do would be 15 out of 30. They're still at 50%, even though they passed everything. They're still SAP suspended at that point, even though they had an awesome semester. It's all because that first semester cost them so dearly. So if you need to withdraw from a class, be very careful on that, because that will hurt you just as bad as a bad GPA. And the third point is maximum time frame. As long as you're making SAP, you're going to be fine. But bachelor's degree, you have 120 credits to complete your program. Time and a half means you have to be done within 180. I mean, so that gives you 60 credits really to fail, withdraw, whatever, and you can still be fine. But where people get into trouble is they get towards the end of the program, they've repeated a bunch of things, and next thing you know, they need 182 credits before they can graduate. You're automatically SAP suspended once that calculation happens. If we have transfer students, you'll transfer in a whole bunch of classes, and that, I mean, that's great. You won't have a completion ratio issue when you first start, but you may run into a time and a half issue as you get towards that in your program. Do we have anybody here in an associate degree, nursing specifically? But you are an associate?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Nobody's an associate program, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to say that that gets you into trouble a lot quicker because there's so fewer credits. Rob, you have a question?
I had a question. You mentioned about withdrawing, and is there any benefit to withdrawing at the different stages in the semester, or is it all the same?
Withdrawing from a single class, there is no benefit. I mean, it all counts the same. Once we have what's called our census, which is a week after classes start, financial aid is locked in. If you withdraw the following day, you're still considered full-time. If you withdraw the day before finals, you're still considered full-time. Now, if you do a complete withdrawal from the whole program and you say, I don't like UPIKE, I'm going back home, there is a difference when you withdraw that. But for a single class, no.
Is anybody in UT2 classes?
Classes that start mid-October.
Okay, so if that is the class that is making you full-time, so you have 9 hours outside of that, that's what gets you to 12. You have to start that class or another class. So if you decide you don't want art and you'd rather take math, you have to take something so that you're full-time within the whole 16 weeks. Because if you don't ever start that second 8-week class, then you will go back to being basically part-time for all of the things. So just be careful about those.
Yep. And that means we have to readjust your financial aid. Your tuition will get adjusted. Part-time, you're going to lose Pell, you'll lose state, you'll lose institutional, and you can't live on campus. So if that UG2 class is the make or break, make sure you do it.
Or something.
Or something. All right. So more important stuff. Check in out. Drink your water, check in with your friends.
Okay, so for the business office, which is the office that I manage, we don't really decide a lot of things on our own. We just manage the decisions of others. Like you will have to go and actually register for classes to get your tuition and fees. You will have to apply for housing and get an assignment to have a room and board charge. Every full-time undergraduate student gets charged a student activity fee. So when you're on campus groups and you see Stocker Room Bingo and Casino Night and free bowling and free movies, go to those because you're helping pay for that as an activity. And just take advantage of it because it's fun. And then once your financial aid checklist is all green and all of your aid comes over, and then you have whatever personal payments, then you will also maybe have parking tickets, hopefully not. Let's just not park in future bears. And you could have judicial funds. So maybe you and your roommate are goofing, you throw a Nerf ball in the room, you break your blinds, Res Life says you have to pay for it. So any other charges that are associated with UPIKE will be put on your student account. And when all of that is mixed together, then you have what we will continue to say, go check your student account. So it's basically what's left after everything goes on. If you're a full-time student, or if you're 12 to 18 hours, you're going to be full-time, no additional charges. Anything 11 hours and under, you're part-time. So you get charged at a part-time rate. Aid is assessed at a part-time rate. As Daniel said, some things don't apply with your part-time. If you go over 18, so it's your last semester, you have one more class to graduate, you'll be charged $325 per credit hour that you go over 18. And then you might have other course fees. So if you're nursing, social work, maybe a couple of music, some private lessons, you might have an other course fee that will be attached to that. You can see all of the detail of that on a statement that I will show you how to get to in just a second. And then, of course, the student activity fee. For room and board charges, if you are a residential student, do you hear that noise? Mm-hmm. What is that? Air? If you're a residential student, you're going to have a meal plan no matter what. You cannot get out of it. And that is our way of ensuring that while you're living on campus, you're also eating. So there are 3 options. One's default. If you choose option 2 or 3 of the meal plans, which we've talked about at Growl and orientation, you should have seen that there. The only difference is the amount of bear bucks that you get. But if that's a plan that you want, you can add that. Only institutional aid will not cover the increased costs. So the cost from getting from option 1 to 2 is $110. And any institutional scholarship you have, so if your sports is paying for your room, then they will not pay for that extra fee. It's going to either be loans or out of pocket. And for commuter meal plans, you don't have to have one, but if you want one, you can come to the office. We can add it to your card. Institutional aid can also not cover these, but loans and a personal payment can. So if right now you're like, I'm really going to Chick-fil-A a lot, I want to have a meal plan, you can just come in, we can put bear bucks on your card, you pay for it, and you're good to go. So again, if you're logged in, good. If not, re-log in. We'll go to upike.edu/self-service. Same username and password. So this time, we're going to choose student finance. So here in a week or 2, when you start getting emails from me that's like, hey, if you're receiving this email, that means you have a balance. Please take a look and let us know any questions. You will go to student finance. And then this first page is your account summary. So this student has a small balance of $339. If this top number, or really any of them, had a negative in front of it, that means you have a refund, but we have not done it yet. So there is a process from the time that you accept your aid, financial aid reviews and post it. It comes over to our office to be turned into a check. That's not something that we can do in just like 30 seconds. So if you happen to look at this at a time that it has a negative, that means we're working on it. And then you will get an email when your refund is ready. But this student has a balance. You can click on whatever term that you want. So if you think that this semester should look like last semester, you can go and compare. You can see what the difference is. If you need to make a payment, there's a little button right here that will redirect you to a secure site where you put in your information. Anytime you use a card, whether it be in the office, online, over the phone, it will charge you a fee. We in no way benefit from that. It's just the cost of doing business. So we don't push it, just if that's easier for you. On here, you can do an electronic check. So it'll come directly out of your checking account with no fee. And of course, you can bring a check, cash, or money order to the business office. So if I click on that term, then here is like more detailed summary, if that makes sense, for this term. So it tells me that this student had that much charges, that much payments, that much aid, and then this is what's left. And every time you click on a little drop down, it's going to give you more information. So if I click on charges, I chose not to click on to give you a screenshot of the tuition that goes down and the room and board that goes down, because it's a detail of every class and the housing assignment. So we don't need to know where the student lives or what they're taking. But there are 2 parking tickets, super cool. And then here's the student activity fee. But if I had clicked on the drop down, you can see what makes that up. So if you have another course fee, it would be in your tuition charges. You do the drop down, you'd see every class you have, and then you would see all the things that have something a little extra. Then when I click on the detail for financial aid, you'll see all of your aid elements. I oranged out everything for this student because FERPA, I'm not allowed to give out information without the student's permission, but you would see award name, awarded amount, dispersed amount by whatever that is. I left keys just because that's general and tons of students get keys. But if you are at the point in the semester where it started, we're good, you've done everything on your checklist, it's going to show dispersed. If the term hasn't started yet, so maybe it's a week or 2 before, you'll see it in anticipated. If there's some reason, something holding the aid back from being able to be posted, you'll see something in currently ineligible, and it'll have a comment. And examples of those would be,
you haven't done your master promissory note. You haven't done your entrance counseling. For you teachers or future teachers, you haven't done your annual agreement to serve. If you had just registered for classes today, our system may not have updated, so it's going to probably yell at you and say, you're not registered for classes, or you have 0 credits. If that one happens, just let it go 24 hours and it should update itself. But there is going to be a comment of saying why you are not eligible for a certain amount of aid. If you are for some reason in classes that don't count towards your degree, and you are in 12 credits, but only 9 of them count towards your degree, Pell Grant will automatically get reduced to part-time. And so you will see a notice there as well.
okay, any questions?
All right, one other thing I'd like to say on this is when you look at the business office side of things, you are looking at the particular semester of what's happening. On my side, you are looking at the full year. So if you try and compare A to B there, you're going to see a big difference. So just keep that in mind that when you go look at your financial aid, accept your aid, see what you have, that is the full year, but this is only half of that for the semester. Generally half.
Half-ish.
Half-ish.
Okay, and then if we were back here on this page, up here in the corner where it says view statement. So if you need a statement or just want a copy of your statement, but maybe your parents need it for insurance discounts, you need it for an outside scholarship, just for your records, you click on that, and it will give you this nice, neat little organized version of a statement. It will have every class that you're registered for, including course fees if you have them. It will have your actual housing assignment, any other charges, and what days and times you made any kind of payments. And again, this is by semester. You can go back and choose a different term if you want. If you only want summer, you only want fall to fall, whatever it is you want, but you would just pick, it's going to spit out based on whichever term you've most recently selected. Okay, just some more things. So your account balance is going to have to be 0 before you register for the next term.
So registration will start mid to end of October. Freshmen are always the last to get to go. So if your account is not zero, you will have a hold and you will not be able to register for classes. If your balance ends up being very, very small and you have a really good plan, maybe it's $200, you're going to give us your next 2 work study checks, then we will work with you. If you want to come into the office and talk about an arrangement, that's cool. But the first thing we're going to do with you is make you log on to this and see if you've actually done everything you need to. Because sometimes students will ignore the fact that they have something on their checklist to accept, which if they had done that, takes care of their balance entirely, and then they're good to go. The longer you wait, the worse it is. Your classes are going to fill up. So don't wait until the day before the spring semester to decide to take care of your balance and then be surprised if your classes are full. So the sooner you come have a conversation, the better. And then the fiscal responsible part of me being an accountant needs to just say out loud, if you're getting a refund, you have taken out more loans than you need to go to school. So if you need that refund for a computer, gas, whatever it may be, that's fine, but I just want to let you know you do not have to take it. So financial aid will say, here's what is available to you. And if you say, I only want to have what's going to cover my tuition room and board, they can adjust it and you won't have that because loans are the part of your account that you do have to pay back in the future. Refunds will come out as paper or electronic checks. You will get an email when it's ready either way. Be very careful. You do get emails from financial aid that say, we have posted your aid. But that doesn't mean you have a refund. That just means your aid is posted. You will get a refund, an email from the business office that says that aid that they posted, now it's a refund. So just make sure you're reading who the email comes from. And then if you have questions, you can email ar@upike.edu. It will go to about 4 people in the office. And so one of us will answer you even if the others are out. Any questions?
What were you saying about like the refund that you adjusted or something?
Yeah, so if you get a refund, that means you've got too much loans. But you can tell financial aid, I don't actually want a refund in my pocket. I just want to cover my tuition. Yeah. Yep.
Come see me. If you get the refund check and nothing's been happened, they can probably cancel the check. Yep. If it's been direct deposited, you can pay the money back to us, and then we reduce the loan, which then sends the money back to the government. So, and that way you don't have to pay any fees or anything on that loan portion.
Okay, last little bit.
Okay. This first one, double majors, I put this on here because we're seeing a higher volume of people trying to do a double major. What does that mean? That means you are an overachiever and you like to learn lots of things. As a general rule, like I said, you have 120 hours to complete a bachelor's degree. I'm using round numbers, don't quote me on this. 30 hours is your gen ed. 30 hours is your actual degree. That leaves you about 60 credits in the middle for any type of elective you want. Well, if a major is about 30, that's easy to fit that in there in those electives. So you can do a double major. That's great. That's awesome. Makes you more marketable. Hopefully that means you get a good job, earn lots of money. You can send money back to us as an alumni. That is awesome. But once you complete a degree requirement, you're considered to have a bachelor's degree. What this means is the government doesn't care what piece of paper you have. They don't care what you filled out with the registrar. What they're saying is once you have completed all the degree requirements for one of your degrees, you now have a bachelor's. And what that means is no more Pell Grant and no more state grant. So if you were thinking about doing a double major, please talk to your advisor, go on to self-service and look at student planning, map it out. And you want to get both of those final classes done in the same semester. If you have somebody that's really weird, doing math and art, just as 2 really wild ones, or biology and chemistry, which is common. Look at it. Make sure that final biology class lines up with that final chemistry class. You do not want to take your final bio in fall and you still have to complete chemistry in the spring. Because as soon as you complete that bio class, that's it. For your spring, we have to take away any state, we have to take away any Pell if we know about it. So keep that in mind. Plan it out, make sure it works great for you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What if you do minors?
Minors do not count towards financial aid, so that just would go towards that 60 credits of electives. But that's a good question. Minors and certificates, they do not count towards financial aid. So you would have to put those in towards your electives. Losing aid. I can't believe I actually have to say this, but what was it, 2 years ago? We actually had to explain this to somebody. If you lose financial aid, you have to pay that to us as well. So we have a lot of athletes in here. Let's say you get through most of the year and you don't like it anymore. So next year, you are not going to play your sport. Or heck, even if you did it in fall, but you quit the team for the spring, and you lose that $10,000 scholarship. Usually that's split between fall and spring. You just lost $5,000 because the coach says, you're not playing for me, so I'm not going to give you the money. You still have to figure out some way to cover that $5,000. You still owe us that money for your tuition and fees. Yes, we actually had to explain that to somebody. Same thing, talk about a minor, talk about maybe a certificate program. If you are going, again, let's say you're in 11 credits for your degree, you pick up a certificate, I'm going to take this other class. That's great, you're now full-time, only 11 credits is counted towards your degree. So you've just lost your institutional aid, you lost your state aid. You still have to figure out how to cover that for the school. So even if we take something away, that doesn't mean your tuition goes down and you're fine. Just because you were fine when you were going full-time or everything was good up here, doesn't mean that they both lower. I know, that's kind of common sense and silly that I have to say it, but I do. I already asked, nobody's doing an associate degree in here, so I'm not going to worry about that. There's special rules that apply to associate degree. Mainly, you get very limited state funding, so I'm not going to worry about that. And classes for your program. So I've already talked a little bit about this as well. Only classes that count towards your degree, I can give you federal aid on. So again, if you're picking up a minor, if you're picking up a certificate, if for whatever reason, 3 or 4 years down the road, you have that one class left to complete because something got totally messed up, you failed a class last minute, and you are in 3 credits, that's all the financial aid I can pay for. Even if you pick up 9 other credits and to be full-time to live on campus, I can only pay federal financial aid off of that for me, which means no loans, no grants. You may still qualify for a little bit of your institutional aid or your state aid if you still have eligibility. But federal aid, no, it's based on what classes count towards your degree. So again, make sure you're in student planning, make sure you're talking to your advisor and have that all mapped out so you don't run into that weird situation right at the end.
And all of these rules are really set up by the government to avoid letting you take 7 years, acquire 15 different bachelor's degrees, hang out forever. Like, they're trying to protect you a little bit from yourself.
No, this is not Van Wilder.
They're way too young for Van Wilder.
But it's still an awesome.
It is.
All right, any questions? Ellen?
Okay, well, if you have any you don't want to say out loud, but you want to ask one of us or anybody in our offices, please do so. We love to help. Email, phone call, visit, whatever works for you.
And if you get your sheet filled out, you can hand it in, and unless the instructors have other things, you're free to go. Thank you, sir.
I just put my high school transcript for
Those usually will go initially to the admissions office and then they're evaluated by the registrar's office. So if they still don't have it, make sure if there's not like on my desk, because they actually have to like look at it and record it. So just make sure. Thank you.
There you go.
I mean, I still have time.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you. Oh, you want me to like?
Yeah, just you can just stop and just close out that. It will record. I'll set staff.